Oh my God! Did you get him on the phone? Get him on the phone.
So I've got Dr. Ben Carson on the phone.
Is that the best you could do? All right, fine.
Okay. Well, no.
I can't feel a pulse.
He said, "Be quiet. Careful, he'll hang up."
That's right. We're doing neurosurgery.
So Dr. Ben Carson is going to tell me what to tell you guys to do, and you're going to do the neurosurgery on me.
We're going to operate on your brain, right?
Yes.
Yeah, brain surgery. It is brain surgery.
I don't have a scalpel. I just have the spoon. Can I cut up with a spoon?
There's
I got the bowl here. We can get some stuff in the bowl.
Some spoons.
Dr. Carson, can we our spoons? He says, yeah, you can get and then you can get the book where he tells you how to do it with this neurosurgery with a spoon. But it's a little more expensive. But he's going to give us a free trial shot at some instruction here.
This sounds good. This is good. I mean, Emily, I think the whole manual is online somewhere. And if I can do it with a spoon, that shouldn't be too difficult. But you know, you got a hard head. I don't know if the spoon is going to get all the way down to your brain.
And I got my tablet. I can download anything on my tablet.
This guy's a neurosurgeon. I mean,
he's saying he's charging by the hour, so hurry up with the questions.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
But this is a freebie, a free trial because he's off of doing that the hawk and the wonder drugs.
Ask him if we do this with or without anesthesia.
Yeah.
He said you can get some anesthesia after. What? That's all. Okay, that's it. That's all he's going to do.
I'm gonna have to put you under right now. I have to put you under right now. Okay, don't worry. All right, we're gonna start cutting.
That's right.
Listen, I'm sure you'll be okay. We got Dr. Carson here.
I tell you,
He's a man that knows what he's doing. He's running for president.
Just breathe.
Hold on. No. Oh, sorry. No, that's it.
Okay.
That's it. Okay. Let's see what it looks like.
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Carson.
I'm good.
Okay.
Oh man, what's out there? Okay.
Welcome to Progressive Soup. We're all still here. Apparently, Dr. Ben Carson was going to give us some coaching on some neurosurgery, some brain surgery.
Yeah.
And I guess we made some remark about him hawking
Drugs?
wonder drugs that he takes every day. So they got to be good, and his audience are mainly conservative folks that are inclined to believe anything that one of their icons tells them, and so they buy these wonder drugs. But he says now he has nothing to do with that. He was not selling those drugs. He was only doing a couple of promotional spots for them. Okay.
Listen, we could take the word of a West Point graduate.
Allegedly he was invited to West Point.
Not only that, he got a scholarship. I mean, it's free. Going to West Point is free, but he got a scholarship.
Absolutely.
I mean, what are we saying here?
So now on to enough with the funniness. On to they had this Democratic get together with Rachel Maddow a few days ago, and
Ben Carson was there.
And she asked Bernie Sanders.
Oh.
They were asking Bernie Sanders about Ben Carson and this big flap about West Point, and about he said he was invited on a scholarship there, and turns out he wasn't, because General Westmoreland and everybody that would have invited him there apparently had been dead for 10 years already. So. And not eligible for neurosurgery, apparently. So, okay, so So they asked Bernie about that, and he said, "Look, this is we don't need to talk about that. That's not that important. What's important is Dr. Ben Carson's position on the issues.
Right.
He wants to end Medicare. He wants to.
Did you say end Medicare?
Yeah, that's basically his end goal.
Sounds like it sounds like the incredible opposite of Bernie Sanders. He wants to expand Medicare.
Yeah, so we all have good health care.
This should be a good debate if these two ever got together. Okay.
So does Bernie Sanders going towards universal
Hold on,
healthcare?
he's calling back. Hold on.
Universal healthcare, which they have in Europe?
Yeah. Well, Denmark and Sweden.
Italy has
Dr. Carson,
some social programs.
We've decided not to go through with it. We decided not to do the neurosurgery.
When I was living in Italy, I had the the healthcare system that's offered in Italy. So each Italian has basically free healthcare, part of the state. Doctors are paid by the state, and
people pay taxes to pay for the doctors.
Exactly.
But as you've spoken of many times, your dad, who's still a doctor, and a great local doctor, general practitioner, a lot of his time and a lot of the people that work in his office time is spent doing paperwork.
Yes.
And it's a lot of red tape, a lot of stuff that the doctors have not liked since HMOs came into existence, and HMOs essentially began to do all the things that Obamacare was the claims that were made that Obamacare would bring in. You'd have death panels that would decide who would live and who would die, and what was covered and what wasn't. And this is what HMOs have been doing for decades now, for nearly 40 years.
Well, you're talking in terms of insurance. I mean, it's called the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah.
All right, but it's really the Affordable Insurance Act. Mm-hmm. That's what we've got now.
Well, it does give doctors a better line, a direct line with their patients than the HMOs do. It's not really
the doctor's fault. The doctor's caught betwixt and between.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of hospitals are taking over now practices just to deal with the administrative.
Well, you got to Well, let's put everything into perspective here.
Okay.
The insurance companies are in the risk business. Mm-hmm. Okay. They have to do everything they can to minimize the risk of a claim. They don't really care
about
the patient or the patient's health. They have to make money.
It's about profit, and that's what never should, in my opinion, should never have come into the to the medical field.
I mean, the ideal scenario would be the single payer system. Where everybody pays into it, sort of like Social Security and.
I agree.
This way,
it's like that in Italy.
And this whole you may need a particular procedure.
Yeah.
But then again, you can't have that particular procedure because that particular procedure may be costly. So you have to have an intermediary procedure, which the doctor knows is not going to give him the data that he really needs to properly diagnose and to deal with your condition. But you can't get that procedure until you get this other procedure first.
Right.
So, there are so many elements in the entire process that don't necessarily benefit the patient, nor the doctor. But it's simply because, this is an insurance operation. I mean, no pun intended. Anyway, Bernie Sanders.
So Bernie's idea, what's his idea? Would it be cutting out the insurance companies? Or if we have a single payer system, then would that eliminate the need for
it would.
Insurance
companies? And of course, how would this be paid for? It would be, we would be taxed.
Like in Europe, right.
But the amount of tax that the individual payers would be putting into the program would be a lot less than the amount of insurance that they have to carry now.
Medicare is cost effective.
Yes, that option is definitely more cost effective, and there'll be funds for people to be taken care of. I mean, it works in other countries.
Right.
There's no reason why it won't work here. Now, Bernie once tried to bring this to the attention of the American public in one of the debates, and I think he said, well, in Denmark, and I believe Hillary said something to the effect that, well, Denmark is just a small country.
Scandinavia.
Well, the fact of the matter is, it's not the size of the country.
Right.
It's the model of the program.
Right, exactly.
Okay? All right, certain programs can work on large scales and they can work on small scales.
Exactly.
So, I thought that she kind of dismissed him a little too quickly, but hey, that's the way it is on television. Speaking of television, it's gotten bad. It's really unbelievable. They just will not. There was an interview with Bernie Sanders with what's his name, Charlie Rose. I like Charlie Rose. I really think he's.
Yes.
We stole his black backdrop. He has a black backdrop, so we like that too. Thank you, Charlie.
Appreciate it. You listen to a Charlie Rose interview, and it can be very enlightening. And you can see Bernie was relaxed because he knew he was going to get some real questioning. They weren't going to focus in on these ridiculous little incidences that are sensational and create the news. That anyway. He appreciated the fact that Charlie Rose allowed him, to talk on the issues, and he claims that this is the big problem that he has with the media.
Right.
All right, they will not allow that. They'll focus on these silly kind of Mickey Mouse things that happen.
As a distraction.
Hey, what happened to Christie? He got thrown off a train. What do you know? You see, what get into an argument with somebody? Oh, there's Christie for you. What the heck does Christie having to do with getting thrown off the train? How's that? How's that going to affect the?
And finally, even the Republicans got a little annoyed. The Republican candidates were annoyed by this line of this kind of a. But all the media do it. Fox does it. NBC, CBS,
that's
ABC,
Christie
CNN.
with the train.
This gotcha stuff. This straying away from straight talk about issues and straying onto
it's Marco Rubio.
Extraneous stuff.
Marco Rubio's throwing a football around, and inadvertently, kind of hits somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, Marco Rubio threw a football at somebody, and that person may have been seriously injured. Come on.
Right.
All right, what does Marco Rubio have to say about the economy? What does he have to say about ISIS? What does he have to say about anything that's going to have some kind of effect on the American citizenry at large?
Do you think that Americans are aware that there's another way of having a healthcare system? I mean, that there's another possibility?
It's a good
question.
Americans
do?
Yes, they do.
They do. A lot of us do. Yeah.
Right. Listen, the Republicans, the Democrats, they're not fools.
Right.
They know the various options that can be considered, that can be discussed, that can be legislated. But the problem is they're put in a position where the American voter, the electorate, the people that put them in office, they're unfortunately not their priority. They're not their priority because their campaigns have been financed by big money. Campaigns are expensive. And they rely on that big money to stay in power. And therefore, they're really beholden to large corporate interests. They're beholden to big money.
Well, it's hard to bite the hand that feeds you.
Right.
But one of the candidates, well, two claimed it, but only one actually does it. One of the candidates actually just refuses to take corporate money. No PAC money, no corporate money, and that's Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, and
Trump claimed that he was not taking any money from anybody and wasn't beholden to anybody, but then turns out he had a PAC that had the same name as his campaign, and he had to distance himself from that, and then he got caught.
The economic power, all right, seems to be ruling. The economic power generates a tremendous amount of money. Let me just, take Wall Street. They spent $5 billion over 10 years. Money was channeled into lobbying. Money was channeled into campaign contributions. So lobbying, campaign contributions. $5 billion over 10 years for the purposes of eliminating regulations, for the purpose of deregulating their activities. Now that their activities are completely deregulated and they're able to siphon a tremendous amount of wealth in their direction and into their control, right now they regulate the Congress. They regulate the political system. That's a fact.
Well, I can understand why voters are apathetic about voting, because we probably figure, why bother when corporations control politicians, so nothing's really going to change. Except for about Bernie.
Well, here's the thing: it's not just Wall Street. There's even the corporate interests. There was a steel mill in Canton, Ohio. I think it's called Allegheny Technologies. And the workers, they had to work 12 hours a week.
12 hours a week?
Well, did you say 12 hours a week?
No.
Oh.
It boiled down to 7 days a week. So what does 7 days a week come to? 12 hours a day. They had an option. It was 12 hours a day or 7 days a week.
That's so maybe 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's
no. 7 days a week.
12 hours a day?
12 hours a day, 7 days a week. I mean, this put a real... Yeah, I mean, this is incredible, isn't it? Their excuse was the competition that they were getting from non-union corporations. So this put a strain on them. So they're ready to go on. They're ready to go on strike. So they call in the United Steelworkers Union to advocate on their behalf. So in the contract negotiations, the management says, "Listen, we don't want to even talk. We got 145 conditions that we want the workers to comply with before we can go any further." All right. It came very close to a time when, they figured, let's at least vote on this. Okay, before they even voted on it, before the union could decide whether they wanted to accept these 145 conditions, which were just worse than could be, the union workers by management were escorted out of the mill. The non-union workers were brought in. The union workers were locked out, and shortly after that. Let me just read you this little piece over here. Okay. The company claimed that it was under pressure from foreign and non-union U.S. competitors. However, executive pay had risen more than 50% during 2014. Executive pay, you see? Nothing for the workers here. And the total compensation of the chief executive had risen 70%. To nearly $8 million in spite of the company's poor performance. All right? So it just, that's it.
So where's the competition amongst the executives? I mean, where's their performance? How do you judge their performance and judge whether they deserve any pay raise at all? Is it quantifiable? Can you figure? How do you judge the quality of their work?
Nearly half of the corporation's shareholders had voted against the compensation packages. It's just...
And this is in 2015? Like this is happening right now?
During 2014.
So last year. Okay.
Last year. I mean, you know,
workers have no rights, basically to work 7 days a week. 12
Okay, who did they turn to?
Right.
The only one that they could really turn to was Bernie Sanders.
Okay.
He's the only one that really said, you know, is fighting the power of big money in the insurance industry, in the corporate sphere, and Wall Street.
Now, to bring that notion a little closer to home for all the people, and there's a lot of people, not just kids, but a lot of people that work at fast food restaurants.
Right.
McDonald's shifted a lot of employees from being hourly paid employees to being salaried employees, and gave them a little bump up in salary. But in exchange for that bump up, being salaried employees, there's no limitation on how many hours they can work. They're all junior managers, so to speak.
Right. They're junior managers, and they have to work overtime, and they don't get overtime pay.
Right.
Exactly, because they're not salaried employees.
Do they get insurance or benefits?
Yeah, they get. Well, you see, that's the tricky part of it. There's always some kind of legislation that could come before the Congress, and it looks as though there'd be a small perk for the people.
Right.
But behind that small perk is a big perk for the money interest, and so it gets passed. And then there's a little spin on that part that goes to the money interest, because it's really important for the politicians to be sure that the people don't suspect that their interest is subservient to that of this greater power. I mean, what do you do about this, right? There's income and wealth inequality. There's corporate control over the media, for that matter. All right?
Advertising,
CNN. Everybody was convinced that Bernie Sanders, not everybody, but quite a few people, like 75%, according to this poll, that he had won the debate.
Yeah, he did quite well.
But what happens is CNN now posts another document that looks like a polling certificate, and all of a sudden Hillary's got 72%, and Bernie has got less. It's like, oh, that's kind of interesting, but why would they do that?
That's the picture they're trying to paint, that the corporate candidate on the Democratic side is the one that's doing better.
They've already decided to put their money in that person's bag.
Yep.
All right, so if you're going to put your money into Hillary bag, she's got to look like she's winning. So a lot of things get skewed.
Oh, wow.
It's almost obvious to see. It's just almost hard to understand how people can be so brazen. I mean, all right, once again, Carson, I mean, how stupid can you be? Why would you actually tell a little fib like your scholarship to West Point? Why would Volkswagen put this contraption in their diesel cars to evade the emission requirements? I mean, if they're selling a few hundred cars, okay, maybe nobody will pick up on it. But you're selling millions of cars. How stupid can you be? You think eventually some geek is going to say, hey, let me check this out. I'm going to take that apart. Look, wait, what is this thing here? And all of a sudden, now, they're behind the eight ball. It's just hard to understand how could they be so brazen, but they are, and they think they can get away with it.
Right.
It's just... here's another. Just getting back to Bernie Sanders.
Okay.
He knows.
4 minutes.
4 minutes. Did he say 4 minutes?
Yes.
This show's rolling, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. All right, more people. Okay,
the voice of God.
Yeah.
More people in jail than any other country on Earth.
Really?
Right?
In the U.S.?
Oh, yeah.
Per capita,
Some guy gets
a
picked
higher
up.
prison population.
Some guy gets picked up because, he's got some pot in his pocket, and all of a sudden he's got to do some time. Meanwhile, guys, in the corporate world, after the financial explosion, the big recession, nobody's in jail.
Right.
I mean, these guys actually caused American citizens to go homeless, some of them to lose their savings.
I know.
I mean, and you know, they're out there, free as a bird, and then some poor guy, some minority, you know, maybe some black person, they tend to get picked on a lot.
Black person, my cousins lost a lot of money. They lost I have a teacher in my family that whose 401k was decimated by the actions of those on Wall Street. Now, back when Enron, if you remember Enron, who made a lot of money and was a great corporate power based on buying, not even buying electricity, but buying shares of electricity, selling it to themselves through shell corporations, through dummy corporations. They amp up the price, and of course, every time you sell it, the next Enron number 4 gets a little bit, pays a little bit more, and Enron. Everybody, they get wealthy along the way, and then finally they sell it to California. And California was the state that was ripped off the worst by Enron. Some of them went to prison.
You know, they scheme.
But it took an awful lot. It took an awful lot to get a guy to go to prison.
To make more money.
Yeah.
You know, and they no moral compulsion. Hey,
Yep.
Is that it?
2,
3,
2,
4,
2,
6,
2.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
We should do a sports show while we're on.
All right. Are we still on?
We're still on.
Still on.
But not only do people go to prison, but then we bail them out. Wasn't that we bailed all the government bailouts of the...
Well, yeah, what we did, right. Instead of, this was the weird thing about it. We wound up bailing out the corporations that were part of the problem. None of the individuals behind those corporations had to pay any kind of jail time.
Well, they wouldn't have had to pay the money back by the grace of the bailout package that was pushed by, who was the last president before President Obama? Who was
Bush.
Oh, that's right. Okay. But when President Obama came in, because of his hard work, they have paid the money back.
Oh, yeah.
They still was some pretty hefty bailouts our money that they held for quite some time and then paid it back.
No, they paid it back. Not only did they pay it back, there's 3 out of the 4 most powerful banks now are even more powerful than they were before.
Yep.
So now they've got the government even over a bigger barrel.
Okay.
What?
Okay, the voice of God says that we have to start wrapping it up. Or maybe that was Ben Carson. Is that Ben Carson up there?
Ben Carson again.
Well, we're going to continue this discussion.
Yeah, we're going to continue it. But I mean, in the meanwhile, maybe he's going to send us a bill for the advice he gave us on the neurosurgery, on the brain surgery.
So Joe, Neola, thanks for joining us.
We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
All right,
so stick around.
Stick around, and of course we're on
Bernie Sanders
Comcast. On Comcast Wednesday 9:30 and Thursday noon 30. So this will be our 9:30 Wednesday show on YouTube, on Facebook, we're on Charter, we're on Cablevision out of Norwalk. We're all over the darn place.
Facebook,
I think we're on television, aren't we?
Yeah.
Amongst other places.
Yeah, we're everywhere.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.